call to order the regular meeting of the Kingman Unified School District on October 10th, 2023. Will you stand with me and recite the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have roll call. Star Jensen.
Here.
Lori Grant.
Here.
Tony Henry is here. And Boyd Hardy.
Here.
And we are missing Dr. Cox. At this time, it would be a call to the audience. The board will listen to any comment from the public, but will not respond except as permitted by Arizona Revised Statute 38-431.01. The board may refer the item to the administration or request it to have it placed on a future agenda. At this time, we have no call to the publics unless someone has their paper in their hand. Okay. All right, well, at this time, we'll move to item number 5, reports. Dr. Dorner? All right, none. Anyone from the board? All right, no reports from the board. So we will move on to item number 6, the routine approval of orders of business. This is our consent agenda. Hey, welcome, glad you're here. So from the consent agenda, I would like to pull items G, H, I, and L just for a little bit of discussion. So would there be a motion to approve the other consent items other than those 4?
I'll make the motion to approve.
We have a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Seconded.
We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. So for item G, that is our school fundraisers. I think it's awesome. I just love seeing all of the different items that are listed in our fundraisers. But I did want to ask from the Kingman High Schools, there is one listed called La Tida Sales for the Flex Convention. I was just kind of curious what that was and what the Flex Convention is. Okay, sounds great. And then the pie in the face. Who's going to get the pie in their face?
Mr. Judy gets the pie.
Nice, wonderful. I can't imagine there won't be lots of fun for that one. And then under Lee Williams, they have a movie night for the Future Business Leaders of America. Do they know what movie they're going to be showing?
Not yet.
Okay, just curious. Thank you. So I do have a motion to approve the school fundraisers, item G.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Item H is to approve out-of-state travel for Tandy Johnson to attend the Transporting Students with Disabilities and Special Needs training in Frisco, Texas from November 15th through the 20th. I love the flyer. It looks like a great training. I was just curious, though, where the funding source comes from and when things are brought to the board that we know where those monies are coming from.
Madam President.
I have no idea. It's the first time I've ever traveled.
Right.
So I asked, and
I think it sounds like a wonderful conference.
I'm trying to someone who's looking for some type of meeting called through the show.
And she's joining us online, so I think she's trying to answer.
I can hop in if nobody has that answer. It is being paid out of IDEA, which is one of the grants for special education.
All right, well, thank you. Is there a motion to approve item H, travel?
I had a question. Is this training in learning how to transport students with disabilities? Is that the training?
No, it has to do with specialty. So we have new tie downs coming in. We have new equipment that we can use. There are, I want to go see the split blankets that they have in case of an emergency to get the children off the bus. It is all just wrapped around special needs. New harnesses, just new things for special needs students to make their right to and from school more comfortable.
Great.
All right, we had a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Then item I is to approve the out-of-state travel for Lee Williams High School senior trip to several places there in California. But I noticed it says 126 students with 12 chaperones, and I was just curious, is that the number of seniors that you have in your senior class, or is it only limited to certain students?
They have to pay for it, so they have to sign up. And that's the number of students we currently have signed up.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I appreciate that. Is there a motion to approve item I for the senior trip for Lee Williams?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And then item L, I didn't notice any backup in the thing. And I know we've talked about it and voted. It's the approved coach advisor stipend agreements issued the first quarter of the year. I know we discussed it. Was there anything different? I thought we approved it already, I guess, to wonder why it was in the consent agenda again.
Oh, Madam President, members of the board, thank you for asking that clarifying question. So it was, the agreement itself was approved as to form in March of 2023. So the list that was provided, or hopefully in your packet, was all of the actual stipend agreements that have been issued this first quarter.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate that. All right. So is there a motion to approve item L then?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Is there a second? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you for answering the questions. Item 7 is the first reading of policy, change in policy from ASBA on policy service advisory. Policy advisory numbers 748 through 762.
Madam President, members of the board, as a part of your board packet, you have, I think, Madam President, you identified 55 pages of policy.
Yes.
Just to point out, and this is available to anyone who wants to read the changes, the first few pages briefly identify what the policy is and what the change will be. And I can go through those for you now if you'd like, or you can wait till next month when you have questions. I'll leave that up to you. And then following those first couple of pages, the actual policies are listed. The way they're read, for example, the first one, BCB, Board Member Conflict of Interest. The actual BCP policy is included in your packet, and you'll notice that part of the policy is underlined, and in some cases there's crossouts. In this particular policy, the underlined component would be the addition to the existing policy. So that addition would say the district is allowed to employ, including through a third-party contractor that provides services to the district, any person who served as a member of the school district governing board during the preceding 2 years only in a position in which the person will provide services directly to students pursuant to ARS 15421. So that underlined portion is new. The rest of it would be part of the existing policy. Moving forward, school board meetings, you'll notice the underlined or the board organizational meetings, they've crossed out the word organization and changed it to organizing. So sometimes it's a contextual change. They've changed the word shall to must. They've changed it from January 1st to 15th to in the January following. So just watch for the crossouts and the underlines, and that'll let you know the pieces that are going to be changed. There's no entirely new policy. They're just making sure that we are posting agendas, having adequate seating, making sure the time is posted. One of the policies I wanted to point out that is a kind of a significant change. A few years ago, we added policy about disciplining students in K through 4. Trying to get to that one. In K through 4 schools where there were disciplinarians were really limited on the suspension of students. You really aren't allowed to suspend students under a certain age unless there's very specific criteria. And I think there's been a little bit of kickback in the realm of student safety because they've now added a piece to those two policies. You'll see when you read it that says if a student possesses a firearm, obviously, because statute says you must be expelled from school if you have a firearm, you can do that even in a K-4 situation. And you can suspend students if it's disrupting the school or it's a matter of safety in 2-day increments, not to exceed 10 days. So just some minor adjustments that are pretty important. But I'll take any questions on any of the policies you may have, or we can continue the conversation next month during the second reading.
Does anybody have any questions at this time?
Nope.
Then we'll look forward to those questions next month. Thank you. All right, agenda item number 8, possible action to pay a critical needs stipend to the special education certified support administrators in school with district program populations and a SPED census exceeding 20% of the student population. Those were incredible numbers.
Yes, they are. And in recent years, our district census of special education students has increased pretty significantly. We're fortunate to have some really fantastic educators all across our district, and in particular in the special education realm. 3 of our schools that have district programs where there are not enough students to have programs on every campus, but we aggregate them to a district program, Desert Willow, Kingman High, Kingman Middle, for example, and La Sanita. They have a larger population because they have the district programs. In 3 of those schools right now, we're fortunate to have support administrators who are special education certified. And that's amazing because they are attending many more meetings than other folks. They have to know the IDEA law thoroughly. They have abilities to communicate with parents about specific disability needs. And with a census over 20% of the population being SPED, that's an incredibly important need to be filled. So we do offer critical needs stipends for math, science, kindergarten, and special education across the district, but not at a support administrator level. So that's why I'm bringing it to the board this evening. For those positions where they are certified in SPED, there is more than 20%, and they do have a district program. Then the rest you can read in your confidential, all the facts that go along with that.
Is there any questions?
Special education, students with
20% is, there could be 20% of the entire student population that are classified as.
that have an IEP and qualify under the IDEA for services.
So in one school, it could be 20%.
Yeah, there's what's the average percent, Vicki? There's a district-wide, our percent is almost 18% district-wide. And 20% is the threshold for this critical needs, but in those 3 schools, it could be 24, 25, 27, and at La Sanita, I think it's 64%.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Would the administrator at those 4 schools be required to have the special education certification to receive the stipend?
That's preferred. Yeah, they would be required to have it for that critical needs knowledge in order to earn it, and they do.
So I probably know the answer, but the funding source would be also from the IDEA.
No, this would be through M&O
Okay, no.
at this point, unless going forward, well, we'd have to put it in the IDEA grant now, or then we would fall into a supplanting situation. So to be safe, I'm going to say M&O.
Sorry, but I have just a couple of questions. What is M&O?
Maintenance and Operation Fund, that's the general fund. Oh, Colleen's here. You want to talk about what M&O is?
Yes, M&O is our go-to fund. It's the general fund for everything operation-wise. It's funded through tax money and state funding.
And then, so the stipend here, is that like additional pay to these teachers who are
Yes.
spending longer hours?
They would receive their base contract and then the critical needs stipend on top of that.
Okay, which would be like
Once annually.
just a one.
It could be distributed at each semester, half each semester, but it's a one-time.
I see.
annual.
And how many, like, in other words, you have some teachers teaching special ed that are not special ed certified?
Yeah, well, these are administrators administrating district programs. Our special education teachers, they receive stipends to be case managers. And we do prefer that they are certified in special education, but we do have some emergency certified
Sure,
folks because
absolutely.
there's a
I
hiring crisis.
Sure. Okay, so this would be a special stipend for the administrators of the special ed
For the
program.
support administrator. Mhm.
Okay. Okay. And that would be an annual stipend of
Yes.
some kind. Okay.
there any
I-
more questions? Did you have any more?
I'll just say I admire any special education teacher, and we can show our support for them. It's great.
Would you like to make the motion then?
I make the motion.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion is carried. I second Dr. Cox on that. My daughter is a special education teacher, and she loves her students. They need extra. All right, moving on to item number 9, to approve the Kingman Unified School District's fiscal year 23 annual financial report.
Madam President, members of the board, the district had a good year for fiscal year 23. There was roughly an increase of 2.9% in spending out of M&O and an increase of teacher pay by 5.3% over prior year. We ended FY23 with an ADM, an average daily membership of 6,614, and as of day 30 of this current year, the warm body count is 7,390. That's an increase of roughly 18 students over the same time last year. With the increase in students, the district can guarantee an influx of revenue, and we will bring a revision of the budget to the board in December. Within the revision, we will discuss the mandatory minimum wage increase for the state of Arizona, and I'll bring a few options to consider for our staff members. All other funds are balanced, compliant, and in a position to carry another year of expenses. Lastly, approval of the AFR also approves the food service AFR, the classroom site fund AFR, and the state school level revenue and expense report.
All right. That was a rather large report to look through. Lots and lots of numbers. So do you have any questions? So with the increase of students, I know at one point our classrooms were pretty full. Are we doing okay on classroom space, or is that a conversation for the future?
All of our empty classrooms are full, yes. We've kept the ratio down, which we're happy to report. We continue to monitor at 32 at the high school, 30 at the middle school, 27 upper elementary, and 25 at lower. And we've been adding teachers where we can when that increases. We're holding well right now. But if we continue to grow, and we do see Kingman growing, that Palo Christi, I'm always bringing up Palo Christi, we really need that project to move forward, because that's going to add the rooms that we need. So we've got Bill Klinger over there. We're all going to send our good energy to him that he can move that along and get kiddos in the near future.
All right.
And that would require redistricting when we do that.
All right. Well, if there are no other questions from the board, I'll take a motion to approve our fiscal year 23 annual financial report.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All right. We have a motion on the table and a second. If there's no more discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. It was a very thorough looking report, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
Had extra explanations in it, and we do appreciate that. All right, then we will move on to item number 10, a possible action to enter into an affiliation agreement between Maricopa County Community College District with Rio Salado College and the Kingman Unified School District.
Madam President and members of the board, for items 10 and 11, Kingman Unified School District and both Rio Salado College and Grand Canyon University have mutually benefited from entering into agreements in prior years for the placement of student teachers. District staff recommend the governing board approve entering into the affiliation agreements with Maricopa County Community College District for Rio Salado College and also Grand Canyon University, with the stipulation that Maricopa County Community College District for Rio Salado College remove the clause that provides for monetary compensation paid to cooperating teachers. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this for teachers and special ed teachers?
Yes, this would be student teacher placements for whatever program that the students are enrolled in. So
Do we have
that
a
could-
percentage as to which, so that we can kind of channel them into special ed?
So we currently have 5 requests for student teacher placements in the spring. I will see how many of those are general education and how many are special education and get back to you.
Are we having to turn anyone down that has requested to come and do student teaching with us?
We have generally always had very generous, experienced teachers willing to help
Share their
us in this area, and the schools have been very supportive.
And we always have space to place them when they successfully complete.
You said remove a clause. What was the clause exactly that you want to take from Rio?
Yes, thank you. So there is a clause sometimes in these agreements, and this came up as a very good question at the last governing board meeting, where the college itself can give a monetary amount to the cooperating teacher. So that teacher is the one who's kind of guiding them and helping them during the student teacher placement. In conferring with legal counsel, they said that could potentially be a little bit of an area we don't want to go into, even though the college or university is not a vendor. They are performing that work as part of their contracted duties. And so he said, as a cautious approach, we might just want to have those clauses eliminated. And
Eliminate the gray
GCU
areas.
already eliminated it out of theirs, and Rio Salado is looking at that.
Do you expect any pushback or anything from them with that? That just seems.
I wouldn't think so.
Okay.
And typically it's not a very large amount, but just to be on the cautious side here.
Other than that, there's no other change between the past agreement and the future one we're about to go to?
Correct. I haven't compared them kind of word to word, so
Wow.
I couldn't say that, but I read through the agreements and it seems pretty standard from agreement to agreement.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
For these two colleges, they're more or less Arizona local, or are they online students that could potentially be coming in?
The teachers would be here in person.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, no, I understand that student teachers would come to Kingman,
Okay.
but are the programs that they're going through the Maricopa Community College, Rio Salado, and GCU, are they students that are on campus in Arizona already typically?
Not necessarily, because
Yeah.
they both
Okay.
have online components.
I was just thinking it might be great because if they're already here and they feel the summer heat and the dry weather, they might be willing to stick around. I was just curious.
Absolutely.
Generally they are local. We find that student teachers are generally local. But that's a great point. We should have them market that.
There you go. All right.
So how many months or how many semesters does a person have to do student teaching to qualify for their degree?
I think this.
The student teacher to a classroom for a near semester, 16 weeks. And others, I believe Rio Salado is one of them, might have multiple components, 6 weeks in one school and another, or in special ed and regular ed. They're fairly aligned with a semester, but it could look different from program to program.
And how is it possible that a community college can have, can you get a teaching degree from a community college?
That is a great question. We are so excited that the answer is community colleges, the Board of Regents, I think, they're really changing the game of community colleges currently. And MCC, for example, I was at a meeting there recently, and they're being approved for 4-year programs. So they're expanding from a typical 2-year liberal arts or trade or certification school to a community college that can offer 4-year degrees. MCC is going to be offering elementary education degrees and various other degrees. And so Maricopa's obviously jumped on that trend, and they're offering 4-year degrees as well. Super excited to see people be able to get 4-year degrees here in town. I got mine here, started at MCC, but then I was with NAU MCC Connect, but now MCC is going to be on their own. So great question. It's a really neat future happening.
All right. Any other questions? All right. Is there a motion then to accept entering into the affiliation with both Maricopa Community College for Rio Salado and Grand Canyon University?
Motion.
Okay, so we do have a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Yes, thank you, guys. All right, item number 12, possible action on a request by Scott Taylor to be released from his employment contract effective December 31st, 2023, and to employ him in his same teaching position beginning January 1st, 2024, as a leased employee through ESI.
Madam President and members of the board, Mr. Taylor is looking to participate in the Retire Rehire program. He is currently a fourth grade teacher at Manzanita Elementary School, and as we mentioned, wishes to retire with ASRS as of December 31, 2023, and then continue working in the same position beginning January 2024 as a leased employee through ESI. So he would remain in his position. And staff recommend that the governing board release him from the remainder of his contract effective December 31st and approve his request to continue working as a fourth grade teacher at Manzanita Elementary for the duration of the 2023-24 school year as a leased employee.
Are there any questions or discussion from the board? I think it's a great program for teachers to be able to maximize. So if there are no questions or comments, then I will take a motion to approve item number 12.
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Item number 13 is to approve donations. Community members for supporting all of our schools and sports programs and leadership programs. It's really nice to see how community steps in to support those. So I say thank you. So if anybody else has a question? All right. Was there a motion to accept the donations?
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Seconded.
All right. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you, guys. All right. Item number 14 is a possible motion to move into executive session per Arizona Revised Statute 38-431.03 to discuss requests to be released from employment contracts by Eric Williams, Paul Forehand, Laura Donor, Robert Day, and Kimberly Jacobson. We were provided in our board packet the letters and information. So if the board has any reason, I would take a motion to move into executive session.
I'll make the motion to move into executive session.
Do you need to? Okay, so we have a motion on the table to move into executive session. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we will move into executive session to discuss the particular employment contracts.
Principals, you don't have
All right. Do we have a motion to reconvene into regular session?
I'll
from-
make the motion.
Okay, we have a motion on the table to reconvene. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right. So we have reviewed in our executive session, items 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. I do have a letter from Eric Williams. He says, to Lee Williams staff and students, for the students I entertained and share life stories with for inspiration and hope for their future. For our staff meetings, I have made those laugh and do what is asked to bring fun to the student body. For the custodians whom I had great dialogue with, for the administration whom I've shared the understanding of being great for the students so they can see success. And for the student athletes whom I poured my life practices of successful measures into, keep true to those principles and high standards of being dedicated. I will miss all of you and with promise to remain supportive, for I appreciated my opportunity at Lee Williams and our new family. Kingman is a place we call home with friends whom we consider family. Thank you all for your support and understanding. Sincerely, Eric Williams, AKA Coach E. So after our discussion for items 16 through 20, district staff recommend releasing the following individuals from their employment contracts without the imposition of a fee for liquidated damages or a report to the state for the reasons stated in the confidential memorandums to the governing board. 1, Eric Williams, effective September 21st, 2023. 2, Paul Forehand, effective September 21st, 2023. 3, Laura Donor, effective September 21st, 2023. 4, Kimberly Jacobson, effective September 21st, 2023. And 5, Robert Day, effective October 12th, 2023. Do I have a motion on the table for items 16 through 20?
I'll make the motion.
So we have a motion. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Got a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. On to item number 21, possible motion to move into executive session per ARS 38-431.03 to discuss recommendation to terminate the employment of Cashlyn, and I'm going to say the name wrong, so I'm not going to do it. And I will apologize for that.
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Yes. Okay.
To return to regular session.
We have a motion on the table to reconvene into regular session. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we've been in executive session discussing item 23. And what motion would the board like to make?
I'd like to make the recommendation to terminate the employment of Caitlin Oscala, HR Coordinator, effective October 10th, 2023, for the reasons stated in the confidential memorandum to the governing board.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all for being here with us. That brings us to item number 24. Is there a motion to adjourn today's meeting?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
We have a first
Second.
and a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.